is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Good morning, I'm Lauren Casey. The time right now is 4:27 here on our Tuesday morning. Let's talk about some of our top stories today before we get into the show, starting with Avon schools, Avon Community Schools and Avon High School. We told you yesterday about how they were doing one more day of in-person learning before they're switching to e-learning for the high school. This after a few COVID cases were reported there. They have not been able to confirm to us just how many people have to be quarantined due to those cases there at the high school, but we know it within the whole district so far there have been 9 cases, 5 of those at the high school. There was a board meeting last night and some parents expressed their frustrations with how the start of the school year went. So we're going to be breaking down how they're moving to e-learning and other things that you can expect from that school district, one of the first to go back here in central Indiana. Something else we want to talk about today is out in Hancock County, Greenfield. There's some residents concerned about a road extension project on McLaren that will start at an unexpected time. They're saying that they don't have this on the calendar yet. This is far down the road, but several people are worried that this is going to go through their neighborhood, bring cars and traffic within just feet of their door. So Kelsey Anderson is going to break down why residents are upset about this proposed project and if there's any word on when something like this could or could not happen. So we'll check in with Kelsey with more on that story in Greenfield. Let's take a turn over to Todd Clausen right now. Todd, it was a busy night in the forecast. Strong winds, lots of thunder, lots of lightning. So what can we expect as people start their Tuesday?
You know, it's much more quiet out there this morning. That's the good news, Lauren. And overall, it's going to be a pretty quiet day. Nothing like yesterday. With that said, though, there still will be the chance of an isolated storm in this forecast as we get into the afternoon hours. But nothing like what we saw yesterday evening with all those strong winds along the whole entire line of storms. Severe thunderstorm warnings were out. This morning, we're in the 60s. It's 64 in Logansport, 69 in Bloomington. Still really muggy out there, though. So you'll notice that, but we're dry. So today, partly sunny skies. There's a lot more dry hours than there are wet hours. In fact, the storms are just spotty here throughout mainly the afternoon hours. Temperatures today pretty seasonable as we get up to 85 degrees. So if you weren't able to get out and about yesterday with those storms rolling in during the evening hours, today you'll have a much better opportunity to get out and about. I just don't think we see quite as much in the way of sunshine during the afternoon hours today as we did yesterday. But overall, not a bad Tuesday. We'll talk more about your extended forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Something else we'll be talking about today, and Mayor Joe Hoxha gave his State of the City address. He did talk about emergency relief, rental assistance, face coverings, and next year's budget. So we'll kind of break down what the State of the City was all about, what that means for you if you live or work here in Indianapolis, plus news, weather, and traffic coming up here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
We do not feel safe in the current situation.
Parents sharing their frustrations as Avon Community Schools deals with multiple cases of COVID-19. What they want to see change as the district's new plan to start e-learning is today. Mayor Joe Hoxha says more relief is on the way to help with the pandemic here in Marion County. We'll take a look at the new COVID package he outlined in his State of the City address. And hundreds of thousands more kids across the country getting sick with the coronavirus. What health experts say needs to be done if schools continue to reopen. But first, here at 4:30, we want to thank you for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is standing by from home on a much calmer morning here after all the storms moved through last night. Todd, good morning.
Yeah, Lauren, a very active evening yesterday with virtually almost all central Indiana at some point being under a severe thunderstorm warning with those real gusty winds and the heavy rain, and there was a lot of lightning in there as well. The good news is they moved through pretty quickly, and this morning as you walk out the door, it's pretty quiet. We still have a lot of cloud cover that's lingering across the area, as you can see on your satellite radar picture, but we're dry. That is the good news. So if you do have some things to do here this morning that include maybe getting out and about, you should be just fine. We'll expand out, and all the storms, as you see, are down in parts of Kentucky and off to our west. there's really nothing going on. So instead of a line of storms heading our way throughout the day today, we may manufacture just an isolated storm in the peak heating of the day because it's warm and muggy once again. But that should be just about it. 68 right now in Indy as well as Bedford throughout the day today. Temperatures get up into the mid 80s with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Again, just a spot storm chance this afternoon. We'll talk more about the storm chances and also your extended forecast in just a little bit. Lauren?
Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at traffic for your commute. This is I-465, I-74 down on the southeast side of town where traffic is traveling up to speed this morning. About an hour ago, we had a crash in this area blocking just one right lane. Right now, everything is traveling up to speed and around the metro area. I'm not monitoring any major crashes or delays to slow you down.
This rush to get kids in the door has shown us that the rush was not worth it. The plan, the logistics, it wasn't ready.
Parents and community members expressing their frustrations with Avon Community Schools and how they handled the beginning of the school year. This morning, those students will move to e-learning for the rest of the month. This after the district confirmed 9 cases of COVID-19 in its schools. 5 of those cases were at Avon High School. The district was one of the first to return to in-person classes in the state. Dozens of parents attended last night's board meeting to make their voices heard.
Closing one school here and there is the logistics of those of us that are at home. How are we supposed to be able to plan our lives and our careers when we don't know from one week to the next if we need to plan for our kids to be at home or in school?
It needs to be what is best for our community. We need to be listening to our health officials, but we equally need to be listening to the parents and the neighbors and these students who are directly impacted by this. I ask you to stand up, to listen to what I am saying and to what all of my peers have been saying. We do not feel safe in the current situation.
Administrators say they're reviewing and finalizing options for a hybrid approach at Avon High School so that there are fewer students in the building at one time. Officials declined to confirm how many students and staff had to quarantine as a result of the positive cases. At 4:34, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett announcing more plans for COVID-19 relief in his State of the City address last night. The City County Council approved a new $16 million emergency relief package to help those hit especially hard by the pandemic. Some of that money will help extend the city's rental assistance program, purchase face coverings for residents, and continue to operate downtown hand washing stations and portable toilets used by the homeless. Mayor Hogsett says that the city remains prepared as they look at next year's budget.
I'll begin by stating the obvious. COVID-19 has had a crippling impact on the lives of Indianapolis residents. It will no doubt bring fiscal challenges to our desks in the coming years. But we can take some comfort in knowing that Indianapolis and this council has spent the past 4 years putting our fiscal house in order. We are better prepared than the city has been in a generation.
At 10:30 this morning, the mayor and public health director Virginia Kane will provide more updates on Marion County's response to the pandemic. We'll have live coverage on our website and also the latest on the news at noon. At 4:35, Indiana finally seeing a decrease in the daily reported cases. The State Department of Health reports 673 new cases statewide. That brings the total to nearly 75,000. There were 3 new deaths also reported. 2,838 Hoosiers have died since the start of this pandemic. More than 852,000 people have been tested in our state for the virus so far. The positivity rate remains at 8.8%. More than 163,000 Americans have died from COVID-19 here in the U.S. And despite some numbers going down across the country, there's an alarming trend of rising cases in children as the debate on whether to reopen schools wages on. WRTV's ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
In parts of Florida Monday, thousands of students returned to the classroom, masks encouraged but not required. This as the American Academy of Pediatrics reveals COVID-19 cases in kids jumped by nearly 180,000 in less than a month.
Those numbers are a reminder that kids are not immune from this disease. They do get infected.
Meantime, in Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, and Houston, students will begin the school year online.
Economy is recoverable. Education is recoverable. A lot of things you can recover from. What you can't recover from is death.
New York City trying its own hybrid method with more than 700,000 students preparing for a combination of in-person and remote learning for now.
We are going to be looking like hawks at the numbers. And if the numbers of the positivity rate starts inching upwards, and if it gets to 3%, we will remote learn for the entire system.
The president has been pushing for in-person learning, insisting children are less susceptible to COVID-19.
They don't catch it easily. They don't get very sick. And according to the people that I've spoken to, they don't transport it or transfer it to other people.
Dr. Anthony Fauci also says reopening schools is a priority, but only if done safely.
There should be universal wearing of masks. There should be, to the extent possible, social distancing, avoiding crowds. Outdoors always better than indoors.
Schools are not the only thing up in the air. The future of sports is also uncertain, including college football. Officials are expected to make a decision today on whether to postpone or cancel the Big Ten fall season. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Well, high school for students in recovery now has a new location. Hope Academy High School has a new building in the 3900 block of Madison Avenue that's down on the south side, and it's not far from the University of Indianapolis. The school opened its doors yesterday morning to 23 students. Hope Academy is Indiana's only high school for students in recovery from substance abuse disorders.
We just didn't know where to turn. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know the next steps to take. They explain things, they help you, they teach you, and they give adults education for the recovery that we normally wouldn't have had for our children.
Hope Academy is open for enrolling new students. Our Hiring Hoosiers initiative bringing you news of 1,000 jobs that need to be filled in Johnson County. FedEx Ground is hiring 1,000 package handlers to staff a new automated station opening in Greenwood this fall. The state-of-the-art 800,000 square foot sorting facility is anticipated to meet the needs of the holiday season. You have to be 18 or older to apply. You can find more information about the openings in this story. Just go to hiringhoosiers.com. New details on President Trump's executive order to help renters and homeowners with evictions during this pandemic. Coming up, why the move doesn't guarantee an eviction moratorium. The Pacers got a preview of the playoffs in their matchup last night. Brad Brown has the recap of all the action. That's coming up next. Todd.
And Lauren, yesterday evening, very active with that line of severe thunderstorms that came through the area. This morning, it's much more quiet for us. Skies are partly to mostly cloudy, a little bit of patchy fog out there, but no storms. So we get off to a quiet start, but there is some storm chances possible later on this afternoon. More on that coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on RTV 6.
Welcome back. The time right now is 4:42. We're keeping a close eye on traffic as you're heading out on the roads this Tuesday morning. This is I-465 and I-70 on the east side where traffic is traveling up to speed in all directions. No issues on this side of town to slow down your commute. So this morning, we're learning more about President Trump's executive order protecting people from evictions. The executive action does not explicitly provide funds to help homeowners and renters. It says the Department of Health and Human Services and the CDC should consider whether halting evictions could slow the spread of COVID-19. Indiana's statewide moratorium on evictions expires on Friday. As we told you last week, that does not mean that your landlord can legally threaten to kick you out immediately. You can find more information on rental assistance resources right now at the IndyChannel.com. Today, Connecticut voters will head to the polls for their last primary of the 2020 cycle. While the presidential candidates are all but locked in, many local and state races are still up for grabs. Connecticut moved its primary twice due to the coronavirus, first from April 28th to June 2nd, and then from June 2nd to today. The conventions are next week. Joe Biden's wife, Jill, says that she plans to return to teaching if she becomes First Lady. Jill Biden holds the doctorate in education and is a community college professor. She took a leave of absence this year as she campaigns for her husband. It would not be the first time Jill Biden would have to balance official duties with her professional work. She taught English at Northern Virginia Community College during the 8 years her husband was vice president. At 4:44, TikTok could sue the Trump administration as early as this morning. The lawsuit is expected to argue that President Trump does not have the power to ban the app in the U.S. through executive order. Trump signed an executive order last week that would effectively ban TikTok for national security reasons after 45 days, unless it's sold to a new owner. Under the order, anyone who violates the order could be fined up to $300,000 or given jail time or both. The pandemic is forcing youth sports to be canceled, and some parents are choosing not to let their kids play. Experts say that a factor is age, and you can talk to kids about playing or not. The kids around 6 years old may play just because they like doing something fun. Older kids around 12 might use sports as a way to connect with others and develop a sense of who they are. Child development experts say using these perspectives can help understand why sports may not happen this year.
If the narrative is we need to keep our family safe, grandpa lives with us and we have to be especially careful because of him. I think that's not always easy for kids to hear, but I think that is something that resonates with them.
It's also good to come up with alternatives to youth sports. If a child plays because of exercise and physical activity, then it would be great to find an individual sport for them to play. If they play because they're competitive, these experts say that video games can fill the void. Thousands are still without power in Indiana after those severe storms tore across the Midwest. The storm known as derecho started in Iowa, where the strong winds damaged buildings, flattened cornfields, and downed power lines. Winds more than 70 miles per hour continued into Chicago as well. That storm toppled a church steeple and sparked multiple fires across the city. Kokomo, Lafayette, and Terre Haute are the areas dealing with the most power outages here in central Indiana. Todd, thankfully, at least where I am, we didn't lose power at all, but it got very windy pretty quickly, and we know there's a lot of lightning with the storms that moved through last night.
Yeah, there was a lot of lightning. There was a lot of those gusty winds. Thankfully, we didn't have the winds as strong as they did in Iowa there where you saw the damage. They kind of weakened a little bit as they made their way into central Indiana, but still some power outages, still some minor damage here across the area. And yeah, that lightning, it was rumbling even as I was trying to sleep last night. Let's talk about rain chances going forward. And when you see this graphic, you see there's not much of a change. Each and every day going forward through the rest of this week, it's about a 40% chance of some isolated storms. So yesterday was definitely potentially the wettest day for us. And when you see our 7-day planning forecast, you're going to see that there's not much of a difference in temperatures either going forward. So we're kind of stuck in a rut here from this point forward going through this weather pattern, at least for the remainder of the week. A live look outside right now shows visibility not too much of an issue. Humidity is way up there once again this morning. So it's a very muggy start to our Tuesday. Just the light wind out of the south-southwest currently at 6 miles per hour, and temperatures all across the area within about 5 degrees of each other. As cool as 65 in Richmond, 70 is the current temperature in Bloomington. Everybody else falls in between 66 from Tipton up into the Peru area. The skies still mostly cloudy across the area. You notice the clouds trying to break apart there up towards Muncie and into the Hartford City area. But overall, we're still mostly cloudy and can't rule out maybe the chance of a sprinkle this morning with all the humidity that we have out there, but nothing more than that. So carry on with any outdoor plans you have this morning. When you look back off to the west, there's really not a whole lot going on already. This time yesterday morning, we could see the line of storms that we dealt with in the evening hours starting to develop. TrueCast shows that skies will be partly to mostly cloudy throughout the day, although as the morning wears on, we should be able to break into more and more in the way of sunshine across the area. And then this evening, 5 p.m., we're dealing with skies that'll be partly sunny. I do think, even though the model didn't pick up on it, that there will be the opportunity of maybe an isolated storm during the peak heating of the day later on this afternoon. But again, not expecting anything widespread. Temperatures today will be climbing up into the mid-80s. That's exactly where we should be for this time of year. Tomorrow, when you look at this, it looks very similar to what I just showed you for today. That's because it is starting in the mid-60s, warming into the mid-80s with the chance of some isolated storms in the afternoon hours. We'll go up to 86 for Saturday and Sunday, then finally cool it off a little bit to a high of 81 on Monday, with storm chances decreasing as we work our way through the weekend. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. This is I-465 at Rockville Road. You can see traffic there is moving along smoothly on the interstate as well as on Rockville Road, so that's great news for your west side commute. No crashes to report right now around the metro area as you're heading out the door on this Tuesday. The Pacers got some serious attention after defeating the LA Lakers on Saturday night. Last night was a chance to take on the team that they'll probably play for the opening playoff opponent. RTV6's Brad Brown has a recap.
The Pacers in Miami started the night with identical records and are almost sure to meet in the first round of the playoffs. Tonight's tune-up had Domantas Sabonis tuning in from the virtual seats and saw a slow start from the Pacers. They scored just 9 points in the first 10 minutes. T.J. McConnell hit a couple of shots late in the quarter. Indiana trailed by just 4 at the break. T.J. Warren continued to lead the scoring effort, had a dozen in the first half, 3 here to cut the margin to 1, but was held scoreless after halftime, his lowest output of the bubble. Victor Oladipo hit a triple with a minute to go in the second to give the Pacers their first lead. The game was tied 48-all at halftime. Miami really put the game away with a huge third quarter. Jimmy Butler back after missing a couple of games due to injury. A 37-23 margin for the Heat opened up a 14-point lead with 12 minutes to go. In the fourth, the Pacers were unable to mount a comeback. Miami ended up with 7 players scoring in double figures, 114-92 when it was all done. The Heat got hot on Monday night.
I thought they did a good job of containing us. But, this is NBA basketball. We've seen it. I've talked about it all season long. You have to win matchups when you have them. And tonight we didn't win those.
They play well together. They're well coached. They do a great job spacing the floor. They do a great job getting to their spots. They know what they want to run. They execute really well. They defend really well. So they play well as a team.
We just got to always stay connected. Like I said before, they're a well-coached team. They play hard. They swing the ball. They made shots tonight, and we didn't make shots. It's part of the game, so just got to get ready for the next one.
The Pacers will face the Heat again on Friday. That game will decide the pairings for the first round in the East. Next up, though, the Pacers face the Houston Rockets. That game is on Wednesday. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
Brad, thank you. For this New Zealand man, dressing up like a wizard is a daily duty. After the break, what it means to be an official wizard and even be on the town's payroll. And residents in Greenfield are raising concerns over a new road project set to go right through their neighborhood. Coming up new at 5, why neighbors say they don't want the expansion in their backyard. It's 4:51. Stick around. We'll be right back. So for one man in New Zealand, wearing a wizard outfit isn't a costume, it's his uniform. Ian Brackenberry Channel wears it to work as the official wizard of Christchurch, New Zealand. He even has an apprentice who's training to be his successor. Channel moved to New Zealand in the 1970s from the UK and became well known for being a wizard. And then in 1998, the town started paying him for it. The city council pays him the equivalent of about $10,000 a year. He even has a driver's license issued to him as the wizard. Very interesting. All right, Todd, we're not paying you $10,000 to be a wizard, but you can predict the weather. So what can we expect today?
I think it's just a real small storm chance in the forecast today, Lauren. Nothing, obviously, like we saw yesterday evening with that line of storms that came through. The other thing you'll notice, temperature-wise, there's not much of a difference daily here as we go throughout the remainder of the work week. We go up a couple degrees over the weekend, and then Sunday night is when a stronger cold front will come through, and that'll cool us off. With that said, even though you see storms each and every day there in the 7-day planning forecast, we're only looking at isolated storms. No day will be a complete washout. That's the good news, as here in the middle of August, we settle into a very summer-like pattern. We'll break it down for you in more detail coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues. Stay with us. We're back at the top of the hour when Raphael joins Lauren and I.